And we made it back for another week. Freedom Forum won on this great day of the 16th day of the year 2019. Good Lord. I can remember looking back when I was like 40 years. Wow, how far am I going to make it? Tonight I have as my guest for a while, I guess. He's going to talk about the LPUA and the council again.
Yeah, they had some fun apparently at one of the meetings.
But anyways, let's say a prayer. We need to pray for our president.
Definitely.
Dear Lord, you continue to bless each and every one of us with your presence. We need to keep that in mind. I know that I look to you for my strength, and each of the partners here tonight do also. We need to pray for our president. I've never seen a man so strong and be so scrutinized as he has, and talk about you, Lord, and how their presence helps him get through every day with him and his family. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Andy sent me this PDF. I like how I get this information.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this council, in the last 2 years that I've been more involved than I was previous, because I was doing a lot of other things. I really, and I mean, if I said this at the council meeting, I'd get shut down, but I can say it here. This council doesn't care what you and I want. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally obvious. They don't care what you and I want. But they also think that they can get away with everything. And we have people like Andy who keeps them. And believe me, they've not treated Andy well. Okay?
Well.
And it's a shame. But Andy, I'm glad that you're here, because I never would have noticed this.
Nobody noticed.
The charter.
No. And I appreciate the invitation to present this.
Yeah,
I thought it was important.
I was talking to Mark Pope about this morning, and I said, Mark, I understand what's going on, but and he made this wild suggestion. Why don't you call Andy and invite him on the show? And I thought, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Get me out of this. No, not really. But the whole thing is that Andy, I just really got to know Andy the last 6 months. But I've heard of Andy before. and I don't mean that in a negative way. Anytime, and I know for me what I'm doing now and some of the things I'm in, anytime you step out and step up and start challenging some of these people, man, oh days, you open the door to a lot of stuff.
Yep.
The whole thing is you can't take it to heart, because I know when I get phone calls from different people that I did my job. I got somebody's attention.
Yep.
And somebody's actually paying attention.
Yeah, they're actually listening to you.
So Andy, why don't you go through what we want to discuss?
Well, what struck me as funny is they were changing disposing of the communication division, the fiber optics for the city of Lafayette. And there was an ordinance that came up, and I'm not sure about this, so if people out there understand what I'm talking about, if you could call in and explain it to us, whether I'm on the right track or not. But the charter clearly states that the LPUA is the governing authority of the utility department system. And the key word is system. So, and it says that they shall not sell or lease in any manner, dispose of, any substantial part of the system without a vote of the City of Lafayette registered voters. It's very clear. It's in the city charter. It's in section 804, utility system sale and lease, under section A. So, and Mike Hebert is quoted, that's the attorney, quoted as saying the LPUA will not be the governing authority of the communication system department. They'll only be the authority of the utility department system. So wait a minute, the communications was in the LUS system, and now it is no longer part of the system. So I'm trying to figure out, is that a manner of disposing of the system's substantial part? And I think it is. And it actually says, the old definition states very clearly, the system means the utility department.
Or its representative.
Or its representatives. And then the new definition, they redefined it saying the system means, as to electric, water, and wastewater, the utility department. And as to the telecommunication system means the communication systems department. So I'm going, wait a minute. So it's like, well, we're going to have a business together.
Yeah.
And we're going to have 3 systems that we work with. And we're going to vote to take one of those systems and give it just to you. And I'm going, well, wait, I'm supposed to have a voice in that somewhere, aren't I?
Yeah.
And I think that we should have at least the opportunity to vote on whether or not we want to dispose of that system. And there's other definitions that I thought were real interesting, because in the old section of 90, it says 94.1, equipment supplied by system to remain property of system. So I'm going, well, the system was defined as LUS, Department of Utilities, and now the system is removed a part of the system that was clearly states remains the property of the system. So, and then it says in the old section, it says you can't cut or remove wires or fiber cables whenever it becomes necessary to remove or cut any of the electric wires or fiber cables, listen carefully, belonging to the system. Now, the system was defined as the Department of Utilities.
Oh, God.
Property of the Department of the Utility System. So how did the council dispose of a substantial part of the utility system without a vote of the people?
I mean,
to me, it's simple. And I asked that question at the meeting, and you know they just lawyer, and he caught. I think they said something about he caught me by surprise, and I went, well, that's because it's kind of like they did gaming is now gambling.
yeah.
So it's legal. So I'm going, well, if the utility department system is disposed of, and that was a part of it, now what's going to stop them, listen carefully, what's going to stop them from redefining an electric division of the utility system?
Well, and right on top of this, with the split, and now we're splitting this. Him and me and him and a couple other people that I won't name all know what's coming in 2020.
Yep.
Bernhardt said it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He said this will take 18 months.
Yeah.
And at the time, it didn't click.
Yeah.
Now it clicks.
Exactly.
18 months. That passed in December.
Right.
What happens in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
And how long is that?
So now the communication system that was owned by the utility department and under control of the Lafayette Public Utility Authority is now under the control of the City Parish Council. Now the City Parish Council can vote to outsource the management of that system without the checks of the LPUA governing authority.
Well, and that's the thing. Last week I asked that question.
Really?
Yeah. You can ask T.
Good question.
I asked the question, because I heard about this, but I didn't see all this. And I asked, do we still have the LPUA?
Yeah, you do for the electric, water, and sewer, but not the other thing, the other part of the system that used to be a part of the system.
Another thing that Bernhardt said, and was a stipulation,
Mm-hmm.
that other department not be part of the deal.
Oh.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I heard that. He did make that statement.
Yeah.
So, transparency. It's very transparent council and LPUA. Here I go again. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah,
for
you
that
get in
one.
trouble now. Well,
But
the
the
question,
thing-
the question now is separating that from the city. Did the LPUA in the parish council violate the section of the charter that says they cannot dispose of in any manner without approval of the public?
Exactly.
I don't think,
But the issue is, and you well know this, you got caught in the 90-day deal when you brought something else.
oh, no, I didn't get caught in a 90-day deal.
No?
No. How can you, and this is what, see, nobody understands that part. I challenged the city of Lafayette's election, which
Oh.
they did not have. There's no 90-day limit on an election that never took place, is there?
Oh, okay.
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 So what they did is, it's kind of like this new charter thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a perfect parallel. Look, the LPUA is the governing authority of the utility department.
Cool.
And the city parish council is the governing authority of the rest of the government. Now, whenever there's an ordinance for the utility system, both councils have to approve it to be law. If one says no, it's a no-go. If the LPUA says no, it's a no-go. So, you're changing the governing authority of the Lafayette utility system. Did that governing authority call an election so it can be changed?
Yeah, see, and
No,
did the LPUA meet the night before this came about?
I don't know. But
See?
the question now is, well, how can you change the governing authority when it takes both of them to take any action legally and change it in an election, but you never had the other party call the election?
See, and that's the part I understood more clearly the last year.
Yeah.
Was how the LPUA makes a recommendation,
Mm-hmm.
votes on it, approves it, and then it goes to the council,
That's
correct?
right. That's right.
And then the council has to vote on it
To approve it.
to approve it.
And if they both approve, it's law.
Yeah,
but
the
now-
whole thing is in there somewhere is the people have to vote on it.
Exactly. Now you've changed, okay, and it says clearly again in that section, shall not in any manner dispose of the system.
Yeah,
In that election we just had, the system was turned over from control of the LPUA to control of a city council without an election. So how did that happen? Did they duplicate votes?
I
Did
don't
they
know.
call that CityParish election? Well, that's the same as an LPUA election that wasn't called. Kind of like when the city charter, when they had this great consolidation where the parish called the election and the city never did, but they counted the parish residents living in the city as a city election. You knew that?
Wow.
One vote counted twice.
Oh my God.
Now that is on record. The Secretary of State has a certified election results for the consolidation election in '92 by the city, but there's no ballot.
So is this something you can talk to the Secretary of State about?
You can ask them the questions, but the real question has to come from an elected official to challenge this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
In other words, a common citizen.
No, unless you got
Can't go
lots
to
of
the
money.
secret-
Unless you got some money and ask them the right questions.
What if you made friends with the
If you-
Secretary of State?
If you could, but I really would like to know, do the public out there understand that the system is, they gave away that section of the
Exactly.
system? Now, what's gonna prevent them from doing the same thing with the electric division?
Oh.
Let's just
But-
make it a separate
But this is the
division.
setup. You know, and I now look back and they put everything on Robidoux.
Yeah.
But I'm beginning to
Mm-mm.
wonder.
Mm-mm.
Here I go again.
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
beginning to wonder
thinking
how
outside the
many
box.
on the actual council
mm-hmm,
knew
yeah.
and know what's
Mhm.
going on. Because we always discussed the fact that there is something that's not coming to light
Right.
in this whole deal.
Mhm.
Look, Bernhard said, I don't want fiber.
Fiber, yeah. Take it
And-
off.
And he wants, that had to be a separate entity.
Yeah.
And his statement of saying 18 months is now, it was mud, but now it's very clear as to why he said 18 months. They backed out
Yep.
because of a lot of push from the public,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they were going through with it
To begin with. That was a setup to push for the separation of the
Yes.
councils. That's all it was. That was
Yes.
to panic the public
Oh, yeah.
into voting for this. It's very similar to this road tax they came up with. You know, the extra money they have in the tax for the libraries,
Oh, yeah.
that reserve fund that they
Yeah,
had.
get ready, people. That's coming in April or May.
Yeah. Well, you'll notice on the ballot, it says they're only gonna separate 18 million, you know, and
Of
they're gonna
the
get 18 million dollars to start projects. Now wait, now listen. They're gonna get 18 million to start projects, and then they're gonna say, well, y'all need to pass another parish-wide tax to finish those projects.
Yeah.
And there's your
But this is going
parish-wide
in
property tax.
to where the tax for the drainage and the roads is also in there. But we had an interesting deal. They say that the overage is gonna be 26 million.
Yeah, yeah.
When we brought this up, it was 43 million. So 18 of 20, what happened to the other 17 million?
It's in the bank.
Here we go again. It's kind of like the border.
Yeah.
Kind of like the border. In 2006, they approved $50 billion,
Mm-hmm.
which never got spent on the border. And I was talk about that, but it's a
Yeah.
good example.
Yeah, it's a parallel.
So now, in 2009, they voted another act and another 25 billion for the border and security. Never got spent. So where did that money go? It's at all levels, you
Yeah.
know. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's a
we
trickle-up
voted on
theory.
this, we approved this, the money's
Trickle up.
there.
Yeah.
and Where'd it go?
Well, if you don't
Where's that
spend
other
it,
17 million?
it's like them property. Well, let's use the library tax.
Cool.
Why? Well, this is easy. It's easy to see. You go back and look when they reassessed everybody's property.
Oh,
The value, when you vote for a millage at a specific time, it is to generate X number of dollars, period. They want X number of dollars to operate with.
yeah.
So when your property values go up, what they do is they roll the millage back at a council meeting to collect the same amount of money.
Uh-huh.
You see? And that's what they were going for. We just need this amount of money to operate. Well, we roll the millages back, but then it takes 2/3 vote of the council to roll it back up. And they roll it to the millage you approved. And therefore your taxes go up instead of staying the same, because that's the money they said. Now, because of the value of everything going up, they make more money. It's that simple. And that's why they have all these excesses. And the reason they have the excesses is because they roll the millages forward. They had plenty of excess before, and now they're going, well, we can have a little extra excess now.
Exactly, and I don't think, in a bigger picture here, I mean, I know you hear it and I hear it, but a lot of people told me, Broussard,
Mm-hmm.
Youngsville,
Yeah.
Doosan, looking better.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's interesting about the road tax that they're proposing is they're going to improve the roads in the unincorporated areas.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you look at a map, a geographic map of the city, you'll see that there's no way for the city to annex land in the unincorporated
Oh,
areas.
well, yeah, we pointed that out the last time.
Yeah. So
That was a good, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That we're really out of.
we can't annex any more land.
Anything.
So now the small towns, the non-consolidated cities, the smart cities, we need to call those smart cities, because
Yeah.
it wasn't smart for the city to let itself get absorbed in this. But those smart cities will now have improved drainage, right? And improved roads in vacant land that they can now annex. And so they have no debt service. They don't have to borrow money to do all that improvements because you paid for it as a parish. I think it's a great solution.
But the whole thing is, and I think one of the biggest things in the big picture, 2020,
Yeah.
the new census.
Oh, well.
The new census will show, and I'll guarantee you, I see it in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Homes for sale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've been on the market. The house right next to me,
Mm-hmm.
they tried to rent it. Extraordinary, $1,700 a month, has a swimming pool, and they couldn't get anybody to
No.
rent it.
Well, there's no
So now
jobs
it's
here.
up for sale.
There's no jobs here.
Yeah.
There's no.
And so, in my neighborhood, there's probably 5 or 6 houses that have been on the market for
Mhm.
6 months to a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know
it's-
some friends of mine that have a real fancy house in one of them subdivisions, 2 floors, and their house had been up for 6, 7 months.
Well, hopefully the economy will pick up and
Well-
the tourist industry will save the city.
I'm
At
going to
least
tell you something
for a
about the
little
tourist
while.
industry that doesn't have. No, I probably should. Our illustrious lieutenant governor
Mm-hmm.
said something the other day. Don't talk about LGBT
Oh,
because you know North Carolina,
yeah.
they lost the Final Four
Mm-hmm.
because of that, because they passed a law. And he says, you don't want to be talking about that because we could lose stores.
Yeah.
I won't say what my
Don't
opinion is.
say what your opinion is, but yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you,
What-
we need to stop this stuff.
Yeah.
And later on tonight, I have a bill here by Pelosi that it's called the Equality Act. Could lead to more parents losing custody of the kids who want gender transition.
Oh,
And when I read that one, I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna catch some flack, but I didn't write that bill. I
Mhm.
just want the people to know.
yeah. You
This,
just educated.
this is the kind of stuff, what's going on here, there's no transparency. The public doesn't do what we do.
No.
It's our job to tell them. And that's why we're here. But the whole thing is, and Andy, I don't know, having you may have a long distance phone
Have
call.
long distance calls. That's fine.
But the whole thing is that, and I mean, I've sat in, I've heard you talk over the years, not that
Mhm.
we finally got to meet, but the thing is that I also, you know, when I go to a council meeting, and there was a stretch where I didn't go to council meetings because
Yeah,
there really
me
wasn't
too.
a whole lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I walk in, and you know what the strategy is? Because they know when the smart meter thing, I
Yeah.
was one of the boys, and the whole thing, that's when they got to know me. And they know I come prepared, just like you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to do research.
But I walk in, I can see them looking like, what's he
Uh-oh.
doing here?
Yeah.
And one time I came for the veterans when they wanted the left turn lane,
Mm-hmm.
but they had their speakers. And I just sat there, and I was just there for support. After the meeting, one of them comes up to me and says, you didn't speak tonight. And I said, I didn't have to, but I got your attention without even talking.
Yeah, that's right.
And he just looked at me. Look, when I walk in to the council meeting, I go shake all their
Mhm.
hands.
Yeah. They people just like us. They just got to understand
know.
and that's what I told a guy today. I says, you know, when we're in school, you get a test to see what you know.
Yeah,
And what I was doing, I was testing the system. And I found the system has flaws. And those flaws need to be corrected
exactly.
before there's even more flaws. And this idea of giving away your governing authority without a vote of the population, which is a requirement in the charter, is a very bad, serious situation. Now, if you're going to try and attract businesses down here, and they read this kind of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, wait, what do y'all do
Why
down
would
there?
you come here?
Yeah, why would you want to come here?
And
You know?
that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
when
definitely.
I talked to Brett Guyman,
Yeah.
the biggest thing we agreed on was that the biggest problem in Louisiana is the tax structure,
Mm-hmm.
the corporate tax structure. Now, ITEP, on the other hand, you know, that's
Yeah.
the friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know the right people, I understand that what they did with ITEP is they put it back into the local control
Yeah.
to approve it or not to
Yeah, you got to
approve.
locally approve it.
But that's a big change, and that's a good change.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, people. All this stuff happens at the council. I can tell you in the smart meter deal, I read
Yeah.
the grant,
Mm-hmm.
and I found a paragraph in there. And some eyes got really big when I brought it up. There was $200,000 in there, in the grant, to publicize the smart meters and educate the
Yeah,
public.
educate the public on their use.
So when I
Mhm.
brought that up, I said, I don't remember any time, anywhere, any town halls, anything that was explaining to the
Yeah.
people about the smart meters. I actually called the grant people
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
and I said,
When did
if they didn't spend this money for
Mhm.
where they should, they could lose the grant. And can they lose the grant? And the guy said yes. And I thought, okay, I'm not going that far because they'll find me over in a
Yeah,
cornfield
in the basin. In the
or,
basin.
or a cane yard. But anyways, I brought that up, and this is what they said. This was their answer to me. We did that at a council meeting.
$200,000, one council meeting,
Yeah.
education program.
I wanna know where that 200,000 go.
Well,
They definitely didn't use it to educate
No.
the smart
well,
meter people.
what's fun about the smart meters is there's what is called time of day rates. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah, oh, there
Yeah.
isn't much I don't
Well,
know
that's-
about smart meters.
That's one of the things that, a lot of people don't understand about time of day rates. And that's where they're
that's
gonna
all
really,
under this stuff,
yeah, it's,
and,
and they bury it.
Oh,
So that,
yeah.
and they distract you with other issues that are like, the little scooters downtown. Let's talk all about that. Let's not talk about how we're
somebody
changing the
said to me,
system.
well, they can't control your house. And I said, do you ever see the commercials on TV?
Yeah. Oh,
Where
yeah.
the guy has his phone,
Mm-hmm.
turns his lights off,
Yeah.
locks his doors,
Mm-hmm.
and he resets his temperature in the house.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have it connected to my house. I have
Mhm.
no smart meter.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make sense that I thought that and then I had a smart
Didn't
meter.
have one.
And the whole thing is, that's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not paying attention, Plan Lafayette, read it,
Mhm.
200
Oh, yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
It's in Plan Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
It's down the road,
Yeah.
and people didn't believe me.
Well,
House fires with smart
Yeah.
meters?
mm-hmm. Well, the other thing in Plan Lafayette too is it only applies to the city.
The city, yeah,
But why wouldn't it apply to all the other smart cities around us?
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
are they smarter than us because they don't have the Plan Lafayette in their communities? And that's one of the things in the change in the charter is they're going to get their own planning commission,
oh, yeah.
so they can take all that plan that was developed for the entire parish and just say, well, we don't need that
See,
part.
like
We
right
don't need
now,
this
if
part.
I had a smart meter, you couldn't change the temperature of my
Yeah.
house because of what I have on
Mhm.
the wall.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that all new houses have
Mhm.
Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
have Wi-Fi
They'll
meters,
control.
temperature controls.
Yep.
You know, they told us that they couldn't, they actually have something they can attach to your air conditioner and
Yeah.
turn it on and off.
Mm-hmm. If you agree with the rate structure, they can
Yeah.
turn it on and off. Yeah, at certain
Turn
times.
it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So people, that's the stuff
Mm-hmm.
years ago. In Canada, they actually pulled all the smart meters off the houses.
Oh.
I mean, that's amazing for Canada, but
Yeah.
because of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We got a call coming in.
Hello, caller.
Hey, this is Patti. How you guys doing tonight?
We're
Hey,
doing great.
Good.
Well, good. I have a question for Andy
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
about did LUS Fiber ever pay back the city the $1.7 million that it owed to them before this
Not that I know
agreement
of.
to split it?
Not that I know of.
There's
I don't-
another 194 million that they
Yeah.
still owe the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah. They still owe the city. Now, how did they, and it says clearly that the system belongs to, I mean, with the new council, can they just say, well, we're not gonna pay you that?
I
Since
don't
it's now
know.
under the
That's
city parish, they
interesting.
can just say, hey, we're not gonna
That's
pay you that.
interesting. That is a good
You know, and
question.
LPUA is gonna go like, oh, wait, what? So, yeah, that's a good
But
question.
now they have no authority.
Yeah, they cannot, how are they gonna mandate them to pay it? That's a,
That's-
Patty, you struck on something that's gonna be real interesting to follow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? And now they're going for more bond money too now for the LUS.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know why they didn't pass the utility rate cut?
Why?
Boy.
They make in lieu of tax on that. 8% electric, 12% water, 12% sewer. They're gonna lose that tax if they cut your rates. You didn't think about that.
Man.
So that's,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that, well, let's keep the rates up because if we cut the rates back, we also lose our tax base and we don't wanna lose that tax base, so let's just keep the rates higher and we'll go borrow money and then that way then we'll have something to say you have to pay us because we borrowed the money.
Yeah.
So it's a
Sure.
way to keep the rates high. Yes.
Another question I had too was, you referenced calling the Secretary of State or contacting him, couldn't the Attorney General be contacted?
You have to have an elected official.
It
From what
has
I
to be an
understand,
elected-
it's
Well,
got to
I've
be an
seen that in
elected
writing.
official.
I've seen that in writing.
Yeah. You
That
cannot.
It has to be an elected official.
That asks them to investigate. Now, wait a
Is that at
second.
any level?
Wait a second. The LPUA asked for bonds, right? For the system.
Mm-hmm.
The system included the communications division.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the bonds being approved for the system that are now being transferred out of control of the system?
Yeah.
Did
That's another good question.
did they ask the bond? What is it? In Baton Rouge,
Oh, yeah, the,
Bonding agency?
State Bond Commission approval to dispose of those bond issues from LUS to fiber?
and we stir in a big pot.
Because I think I'm not smart. I'm just looking at the procedures that they usually go through to change things, and I'm still wondering how did they dispose of the bonds? And it says in the charter, in any manner of disposal. So I
Could
think,
that information be derived by Freedom of Information Act?
yes, you could ask them in the Freedom of Information.
Can you-
Actually, I pointed all this out at the last parish council meeting, and they were kind of like, "Okay, thank you, Mr. Hebert. Good night." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, guys. You're legally defining a part of LUS out of existence, out of the utility system. You can't. How could you do that?" So, and that was the key word. I kept looking at the word system. They redefining the word system, and then it refers to system everywhere as ownership, but now it's not ownership of LUS. So it's a great quandary. I hope to attend the next meetings and ask those questions again.
Okay. I'll make a
And-
point to do it.
I think if y'all need to call your LPUA representatives, that would be Bruce Cox, Pat Lewis, Kenneth Boudreau, Nanette Cook, and Liz Hebert, and ask them, how did they dispose of the fiber communication system without
Well,
your approval?
Well, Liz Webb-Hebert is having a town hall Monday night at 5:30.
Oh, where's that going to be?
The Facebook page did not say, but I'll call and find out.
Find
But
out.
if you want to ask questions, you have to submit them in advance.
Oh,
Now, how can, if you're the regular
The public.
citizen, the public, that doesn't know this stuff, you go to the meeting, they say stuff, and you can't ask the question?
you can't be.
That's correct.
You can't be stimulated to ask a question that you just found out information on at the meetings. That's what they're basically saying.
Just thought you all know that. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Peanut Gallery says it's all by design.
well, certainly.
Yeah,
Right.
which
Well, I'll
you know,
let y'all go.
Well, I
and,
appreciate the
enjoy
call.
All right,
show.
thanks for calling, Pat.
if anybody else
care.
wants to call in, please call
Yeah,
in because
please call in.
I'm just trying to figure out how this is done. I mean,
Oh.
in my civics classes, they showed me the procedures and processes, and this is one of them that caught me like just redefining something into something else.
Well, it's like they just do what
like-
they want to do.
Yeah, and of course, the media. I wish the news media, and I
Oh.
talked to a few of them, and I sent them all a copy of this, as hoping that someone would start asking
they're
the
not gonna
council
fuck
about what this is about.
It's a
But
shame.
you out there, can you get rid of something simply by redefining it and giving it to somebody else as its authority?
Well,
You have authority over this
Obviously, they
business.
think they can.
It's like we have authority over this business, and then I'm just going to transfer the authority to you and all the assets to you. And I'm like, can you really do that? Is that legal
Once I
in
started
public?
talking, and I got the attention of the Bernhard boys
Oh,
when I said about, the civil service people.
yeah.
I checked that out.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I went too deep
Yeah.
top of where you get the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me, yes, they would lose their civil
Yeah.
service thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then he stands up and gives this big orientation about, no, they'll be okay and everything.
Yeah.
But I have a guy that's in some of my church stuff, a couple of them that work at LUS,
Mm-hmm.
and they're telling me they all worried about their jobs.
Yeah. They would.
They in 20 years, 25 years in civil service,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're going to lose.
Now you lose all that? Yeah, that's a lot.
You
And
know.
they got some great people working at LUS.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to tell you that.
I'll tell you what,
The people.
I've been in the city since 1983. It's 36 years, going on 36 years, and I've always had LUS,
Mm-hmm.
and I have never had an issue
Yeah.
with LUS.
They're good
Of course,
people.
it helped that I lived in the neighborhood by a hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. First one up
First one up.
after
But-
hurricane. Oh, yeah. I
after
remember those
hurricanes.
days.
But the whole thing is Andy, that most of the people in this city, I mean, I didn't know until I started paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part is that in the political world today, nothing is explained, and
Mhm.
you can't trust anybody, nobody.
Well, you have to get Black's Law Dictionary to understand
Exactly.
what the words mean, because that defines in law what words mean.
I mean, there's an
So-
attorney that goes to my church, and every Sunday he says, "Keep up the good work, Jim."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they pay attention.
Mhm.
They're paying attention to the show or whatever,
Yeah.
and they know what we do. More
Well-
people got to get off the couch and get involved.
Well, they don't have to get off the couch. They got cell phones.
Yeah.
You know, just call the council members. You got internet. Text a message to the council members and say, hey.
But that's the next big problem I see in
Mm-hmm.
2020. Now, right now, they're saying, what, 20 to 25,000 constituents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when we go to the new system, what is it, 40?
Yeah, for the parish, on the parish council side. Now, if you look at how they set up the parish maps, the city of Scott is almost divided in half in two council districts. So they're gonna have a pretty good chunk of the voting block in those two districts. So it's more than likely, there's a good possibility they will elect somebody who's either resident of Scott or in favor of Scott. So Scott will have a majority of rule on the parish
But
council.
see, could I run for a district in the parish?
Only if you're in the city limits, you can only run where the line is, and they block the city of Lafayette in two.
Is that right?
Yeah,
So,
They-
because
so-
I live in the city.
you live in the city,
Can't run in the parish.
you can run in the parish, but your district is made up of 90% of the city. So it's like, well, wait, shouldn't we get a piece of everybody in that,
Exactly.
so you get a good broad spectrum of people that want things? I mean, since the city generates the most of the tax
The
base.
bottom line of this whole thing, and we all agreed when this was going on before the split, the bottom line is it happened too fast.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I never thought of, and I don't know if it was you or who said it, I believe you said it, we had 14 amendments
Mm-hmm.
to the charter.
Yeah.
Each one of those should have been voted on separately.
That's right. And in fact, the LUS thing, it says very clearly here, if you do anything to dispose of it, you need a separate vote of only city voters, period. It doesn't say parish-wide to change your governing authority or dispose of your utility system. It specifically says only city of Lafayette registered voters.
See, 14,
Call for that purpose.
yeah.
Now, the purpose, they've never had the purpose of disposing of the communication division, or actually disposing of the public utility authority. So it's mind-boggling that the lawyers would not question this, or someone out there would not question how this took place.
Who's writing their check?
Yeah, well, that's part of it too. That's what I
I'm
told somebody
sorry.
today. The
I'm
lawyer.
sorry, I'm the naysayer.
Well, the lawyers that work for the government protect the government. They're not out there to protect
no,
us.
they're not there
you
to
know.
help
But
us.
but we as citizens, like you do, we have an obligation to each other
Yeah,
to look at what is going on in our government and to ask the questions when things don't look right. They don't seem to be right. And this thing about getting rid of the communication system, the division, the system, and just changing the name of the system to exclude assets of the system doesn't appear to be right. There's something fishy about it.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
and that's where I started looking at the word, the definition of words, and that's where it comes about. It's like, wait, how can you dispose of property of the utility department system simply by changing it, by excluding it from the definition of system? I mean, that's crazy. And then the other question is the bonds, which are LUS backed. How did that take place? How did you get it out of the control of the Lafayette LPUA, Lafayette Public Utility Authority? How did they lose control of that? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm just a simple guy. I did this for a hobby, and I'm going like, wait a minute. There's something not right.
Well, the other thing that you brought out on the 14 amendments is you only had 5 minutes to talk about all
Right.
14.
Mm-hmm.
When you really should have had 5 minutes
To talk about each one.
to talk about each one.
And the charter clearly states that any amendments to the charter shall be in writing in full. Now, you have 14 amendments that were not in the original charter ordinance calling for the election. So, if you did not introduce them, how can you say it was published in full to begin with?
I got you.
And that's another legal question that, of course, nobody's going to question.
You're not going to get
because,
that answer.
yeah, and that's where you have to ask the lieutenant governor, somebody of authority to investigate that. And all I'm trying to do is protect my voting rights as a citizen and the process, it's due process of how I change my government. They say this is a constitution of the city and the parish. So if it is that important of a document, you would think the procedures would be specific, which they are, but were not followed.
See, and all the councilmen are up for re-election, correct?
No, I think some of them are they out.
Well, some
According
are
to-
out.
yeah, some
but
are
I
out.
mean,
But
all
yeah.
districts.
Yeah, they're going to change all that. All that's going to be changed in 2020, and that's going to be the real fun stuff.
So,
Is
but
going
they're
to be
going to
then.
have an election next November
Yeah,
for new council
for new
members.
council and parish council. They're going to have a city
So-
council, a parish council, and a city parish
Now,
council.
that'll happen in November with
Yeah,
the 5
that's what
districts
I'm-
for
yeah.
here and the 5 districts
Right.
in the parish.
Mm-hmm.
So then in 2020, we'll have a new council.
Right.
When do they go into
But no
office?
mayor. In 2020, beginning of
mayor?
2020, yeah. Well, you don't have a mayor. You only got a parish president.
Parish president.
Yeah, that's elected by the
But-
parish,
but
not by
you
the
don't-
mayor.
You don't, you're gonna elect a parish president and
Yeah.
and a city.
Council and a parish council. Oh, hey, the devil's in the details. Wait till you see the details. And you better hope, and I think it's going to be the great chase is going to be, there are going to be 3 parish council members and 3 city council members that have to agree on everything. And that's all it takes is 6. So if you get 3 guys in the city and 3 guys in the parish, you got control of everything. And that's all it takes.
Tell you what, we need to find some good conservative candidates.
Y'all gonna have to be looking for some candidates out there that are,
And the whole thing is, and I talked about Plan Lafayette, and what was the other one that got me in trouble with Robideau? Oh God, I can't think of the name of it. Create.
the Create Tax?
Yeah, we
Well-
really did a fun thing one night on here. When they had the ordinance,
Yeah.
my brother-in-law was here from Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He's as involved, if not more, than
Uh-oh.
I am, and kind of runs in the family, I guess. But anyways, they said create wasn't in the ordinance, the thing.
Wow.
But what I read the words.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
In the last sentence of that thing,
yeah.
they didn't say
They
create.
just- Yeah, they said the
but
words,
they
what
had
the
all the
acronyms
things.
stand for.
So I would say the word, and Butch would go C,
Yeah.
and then he would go R,
Cheerleader. Yeah.
E, and
Mhm.
A, and T, and E, and the whole thing is that's how they do things.
Yeah.
Sleight of hand,
Mm-hmm. Well,
not in there, but
I wish they had put a proposal to rededicate the Create Tax to the drainage.
oh yeah.
I mean, they could do that.
I mean.
They got 200,000 now, they could put that back in the drainage,
I
just
look
like they
right
did this
down
other one.
at the other end of this parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
That, what we say, they were gonna build 3 of them, and they dedicated $550,000.
$600,000 to build 3, and they only did 1.
They did
And
one?
They only did 1.
Uh-oh.
So where'd the rest of the money go? Again, where did the money go?
Well, you shouldn't be asking those kind of questions. You should just trust that they know what they're doing with your money. Yeah, they know what they're doing with your money. You just don't know what they're doing with your money. And again, that's, and what's even good about that is in this new consolidated government activity, let's just call it an activity, they're gonna have joint budget hearings, just like before. So if you're a city resident trying to follow your money in the new budget process, you're gonna have just as much problem as you had before. Because they got one document, combined budgets, and you're not gonna be able to see where they transferring one money to the other money,
Wow.
which is gonna be really fun to watch. I mean, you're gonna have to have a document printed that shows the acronyms and budget numbers for the city.
We have somebody that probably can figure that
Yeah,
crap out.
well, the problem is, you gotta spend a lot of time doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And the general public doesn't have that time.
Oh, no.
And what's unfortunate is, it should be readily understandable by anyone. I mean, let's just keep it simple. And that way, everybody understands what's going on instead of just a few.
Yeah,
And that's the point.
And now, the other thing that comes into play here, what about the school board?
Yeah, that's true. The
What
districts.
are the rules about the school board?
I don't think
Because my
anybody's.
understanding, and I mean, I don't know for sure, is that the districts in the city have to line up with the
Match.
school board
Mhm.
members. So now, we have 9 school board members, correct?
Yep,
Now we're just gonna have 5?
that's right. They're gonna line up with the parish council. That's what I understand. So, yeah, it's, that way you have fewer people to discuss things. And it only takes 3 to
3.
rule. Three,
And
max to
I'll
control.
have to say this, that Conk and Terrio tried to get that 7,
Mm-hmm.
make it 7. And if we only have 5 in the city, won't that increase the number of constituents that they have?
Yeah, they're gonna go from around, I think it's like around 12,000 now to 25,000.
So if you had trouble getting a hold of your councilman before,
You might have a little more trouble now. Wait till on parish-wide, you got 45,000. But you see, you don't have to worry about that, because the parish money is gonna be spent in the 3 districts that are made up of mostly the unincorporated areas.
okay.
So you city folks, you just send the money,
Yeah.
and it'll be spent in the parish area. Now, what's good about that is, like the Youngsville mayor just did, he went to Mr. Robideau and said, look, y'all got this parish-wide drainage tax, and we have drainage problems in our city.
Yeah, I like that.
And so he negotiated with the parish president to get parish money in his city. Now, Scott's got a mayor, Karen Crow's got a mayor, Duson's got a mayor, Youngsville's got a mayor, Broussard's got a mayor, the city of Lafayette's got a.
Parish.
So he asked himself if he can get some of that money? Is that how that's gonna work?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just trying to figure this out, you know? I'm like, hey, man, he's the same guy. So if you constituents out there in the city want to go to ask for parish drainage tax money to be spent in your city, you might have 3 chairs at the table. One on this side, one on this side. You put city guy here, mayor, and parish president there, and you sit here and you talk to this guy, and then ask him to get up and go to that side of the table so he can talk to that guy. I mean, how crazy is that?
And you know, we took something that was fairly simple and just,
Well, the solution is there. The solution was there way before that. It's called a merger. And that's what was voted on, to merge the two into one.
Yeah.
The city of Lafayette should have gone away, and we all should have been the parish. That was the simplest solution,
been.
basic solution. We'd all had one goal. We'd all been united. We could go out and get businesses to come here because they'll come here and say, look, these people know what they're doing. They've decided to become one and
Well,
come after us.
And I think that's a factor that most people didn't realize.
Yeah. And now you got,
If I'm coming here and I have a business and I see this
yeah.
and I hear all this other stuff and I see, you know, what the heck is going? I don't want to
Yeah.
come
Wait,
here.
they got a mayor? Wait, y'all got a city council and a parish council, but y'all don't have a mayor and a parish president? Oh, this will be fun. I don't see how that's going to work. But that, you know, that's just me coming from the inside. I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks. You know, is that real?
Read an article, and I might have the article here, which I'm not going to get to tonight. But the whole thing is that one of them, Youngsville or Broussard, has had an unbelievable increase on business applications.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, I didn't hear nothing about the city of Lafayette.
Well, what's interesting is the sales tax. Okay, now the sales tax that is generated in the city stays in the cities. Okay? The question now is, and this is if there's a new Walmart in Carencro, and I live in the city of Lafayette, and I shop in Carencro, I'm taking my sales taxes that would improve my community and giving them to another community.
You know, and I often heard, like, people from Ville Platte,
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of my wife's, I mean, that's where my wife grew up. They come to Lafayette
Yeah.
and shop
Mm-hmm.
in the Walmart in the city of Lafayette
Yeah.
because the prices are cheaper here than they are in Ville Platte.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wait a minute,
That's right. Sales tax.
sales
Mhm.
tax.
That's right. Now, people are going to travel into this area to shop because that's what Lafayette's known for. It's known for its shopping. It's got services. Now, those services have moved to the outer limits of the city of Lafayette into the small towns. And so I'm not going to travel through Carencro to come to the old Walmart on the north side. I'm going to stop at the brand new one in Carencro. So the sales taxes that used to be coming through those towns into the city of Lafayette is now not going to come here anymore.
Wow.
And that's what I see. You can see that everywhere. The Walmart on the south side of Lafayette. You got the Walmart over there in Broussard now.
What do we got left, T?
I'm talking too long.
2 minutes? No, you're fine.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is all good stuff.
You know, so the population has to
I mean, This
understand.
spurred a lot of things.
Yeah,
And,
that is
And listen, Andy, I hate to see you go,
well.
but Andy's made some decisions and going to be moving on here shortly.
Well,
Far
not
away,
everybody.
far away. I said
Well,
you might get
hey,
some long distance phone calls.
Well, like those guys, he says, why don't you set up 2 GoFundMe sites? One that says keep Andy here and one that says make Andy go. He says whichever one you get the most money
Well,
in, that's the one you.
You know, life.
That's the decision that was
decisions
made.
in life.
Yeah, but that's all right. It's
The whole
it's
thing
been
is
fun.
that I know there's some people running for the council. Can they collect enough money? It's amazing how much money you have to
it's
collect.
gonna take, yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
you're looking at governor's race. John Bell said he has $8.5 million in the
Mhm.
bank.
Yeah.
What is the salary?
I don't.
You know, $8.5
That's economic.
million
That's
fix a
called
lot of
economic
dang roads.
stimulation. That's what
know?
you. Yeah, those elections for economic stimulation, man.
There's people really working. I read some stuff today on the oil field and all these lawsuits and stuff.
Mhm.
You want to
Oh,
know
that hurt.
why? But BP now is making a big investment in this
Mhm.
area down for the home of Thibodeau area.
Yeah.
They lost like 600 jobs because of the offshore drilling.
Mhm.
They're going drilling in the Gulf again.
Yeah, that's good.
Why did that happen? All you Trump haters, you know, they deregulated some of the crap from the last 8 years, and now they're able to go. Listen, there's a pipeline that's not quite finished yet,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's ridiculous. Google pipelines in Louisiana. I did it. It looks like a spaghetti machine
Oh,
across.
yeah.
There's
With a
so
Henry
many
hub.
pipelines. how many times did you hear about oil leaks?
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Mm-mm.
You know that pipeline went right through Maurice, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember they
I
had.
was going down to Abbeville, and all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
that dang pipeline, and they're digging under the road there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? That's that pipeline.
Yeah.
Listen, Andy, I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks for the invitation,
tonight,
Jim. I appreciate
and,
it.
I don't know if you're going to stick around for the second hour. You're
No,
welcome to.
I gotta head out. I
And-
appreciate the invitation,
But
and
anyways, we're about out of time, right? 40 seconds.
I sparked your interest. That was good
But
enough, and I hope the public out there
it was
understands.
important, and I'm glad I got you to come on. I hate to see you go, but you know, it's just a decision. You're got to take care of your family and yourself.
That's right.
But we do appreciate you
Thank you,
much
Jim.
more than the council. I'm kind of in that
Oh, yeah.
status, but not quite
Yeah.
where you got to.
You'll get there. Don't worry. You're on the right track.
So you take care. Be safe.
Yeah. Oh
and,
yeah. Definitely. You
we
too.
definitely not going to not be
No.
in touch.
Oh no. I got family.